So we have a challenge as a country in propping up small businesses so that then they grow and employ as many people as possible. The challenge we have had as a country for a long time is recognition. You know, people like you are seen as informal. Even that name informal, is demeaning in itself. Because it was like you are just a sideshow. Now, we have been arguing for a ministry to take care of small business. But when it came out, it was called the Ministry of Cooperatives and MSMEs. So it didn't come out well. So we have a minister, but there is no support to that minister. So Paranya has not even put the structures that truly cascades to the grassroots, so that then MSMEs like you can be supported in a meaningful way. There is that political pronouncement, and there is real support. Then the government also started ASLA Fund. How many of you have borrowed from that thing? So who was it meant for if it's not people like you? The ASLA Fund? Now, the ASLA Fund was poorly structured. The idea itself is good, but it was poorly structured. Now, if you give somebody 500 shillings, see, unapitia tu kajoint yako unakunywa kapombe, 2 bottles, na unaenda nyumbani. So it was structured badly. Let's hope there's a new CEO now. Let's hope the guy reconfigures it so that then it can give you proper credit at an affordable price, whatever that price will be. But when you want to really support SMEs, you read the level of intervention is very important. Then there is an institution which was also attached to the Ministry of Industry, Investment, MITI. This one called MITI. And that is the Kenya Institute of Business Training, somewhere in Parkland, opposite Parkland Sports Club. Now, originally, it was supposed to be a capacity building platform. But that one also found its way somewhere else. And the building, I think, is incomplete and has been incomplete for more than 10 years. So, but acquiring skills so that you can do your job and do it better is a very important ingredient. Now, some of you have grown over the years pretty quickly, and the interventions which are required to make you grow bigger are very important. You are reaching a very critical stage. However, the skills to navigate that growth is very important. So if you look at the typical MSME, you start as a sole proprietor. Easy, okay? You are alone. Success begins to show. Then you probably bring in partners, okay? It could be a family member, it could be a friend, and then you combine your capital to expand the business. Now, that is where trouble begins, because your choice of partner is very important as you grow, your choice of partner. Now, the critical thing that always brings headaches is a culture clash at that stage. If you choose the wrong partner, you hit a cultural problem. It could be your relative or a friend. Some are thinking long term, others are thinking short term. It depends on your thought process. So your success could be hampered at that stage on who you bring on board. And then partnership goes to the next level, which is, why don't we form a company? Then now, you start now valuing the company and say, who qualifies for what shares? Also there is trouble. Because how do you value goodwill? Each of you is bringing in some level of support to the business, and part of it is goodwill. How do you value goodwill? You bring in your brand as a person, and then somebody is bringing capital. How do you value that? And that could give you a potential headache. Now, by the time you turn into a company, many things and structures ought to have been put in place. For example, documenting records. When it's sole proprietorship, sometimes if it is too small, you cannot distinguish between family income and business income. After all, it's the same person. So unaweka income kwa mfuko, there are no books of accounts. So if a bank, for example, wants to lend to you, the challenge is, where are the books of accounts? Any bank will always ask for 3 years audited accounts. Now, most of you don't keep proper books of accounts. And you don't have to go to the big guns. You can go to Waithaka and Company, auditors. And then you grow into probably a small business, employing 10 people and probably a turnover of maybe 20, 30 million per year. Now, at that stage, you needed to be very formal, because KRA, you will be on the site of KRA, because you will already have a PIN, and financial institutions, if you want to borrow, you needed audited accounts. So please move from informal to formalize your business. Even when you go for government tenders, they want that record. A PIN is a must. So please make sure that you keep that record. Then you go to medium enterprises and now large enterprises. That is where now things get a little tougher. At that point, the business world, the ecosystem requires you to have a structure, a business structure, to have the audited accounts, to have premises, to have developed a brand, a logo, probably business cards. Please, when you reach that stage, use professionals. It's nice to do these things on your desktop, but please use professionals. Okay? Even, for example, the products that you sell probably already need to be branded and certified by Kenya Bureau of Standards. So please watch your growth. Now, when you reach large enterprise, you begin to attract another set of investors different from your family, different from the banks, the local banks, okay, different from your friends. And these are called angel investors. How many of you have already attracted angel investors? Angel investors are people like the late Chris Groby. They have a lot of money and are willing to take a bet on your business. So how many of you do you think that somebody like me can take a bet on your business? Companies like Facebook were initially funded by angel investors. Remember, Zuckerberg was a student at the university when the idea came. So he didn't have any money. His parents gave him a little, he started off. And then now he said, this idea is too big. So people bet on it. Look at what it is today. It's a mega company. So please be ready with your books and some structure and branded products, so that then an angel investor could spot you. Now, why they bet on you is they buy your shares on the cheap, because at that point, nobody knows you. Then the next people are called venture capital funds. So above angel investors are venture capital funds, VC. A VC fund would give you typically between 10 to 100 million. Now, 10 to 100 million shillings is substantial. So they buy a stake in your business and they grow you. Now, anything above 100 million attracts another set of investors called PE funds, private equity. And typically something between 100 million and a billion shillings. So if you see your growth, you're moving to different levels and attracting different people as you go along. And then if you now grow big enough, and for me, I saw Equity. I was in the board of Equity when it was a building society. You know, we could only attract customers of City Council, those who had been chased away by other banks. So we used to say, Karibu, 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 Karibu. That's how that member story came from. We were a member. Then we converted it into a commercial bank in 2005, January. Then we were spotted by a PE fund because we were doubling the growth every year. So in 2007, they saw us, a PE fund in London. The rest is history. Who is the biggest shareholder of Equity Bank today? Who is the biggest shareholder? Who has shares here? So which shares do you buy at the stock exchange? The biggest shareholder of Equity Bank today is a sovereign wealth fund. The people of Norway are the biggest shareholder of Equity Bank. They own 12.5%. They are the single biggest. And they bought those shares from Helios. Helios was the PE fund that bought the shares of Equity in 2007. So they injected 11 billion, which was used now for the growth in Kenya, branches, and Uganda. That was the money which was used to build new branches in Kenya and expand significantly in Uganda. And of course, we brought in a lot of talent, okay? So because the bank was growing. I look forward to seeing you grow like that. Okay? You might see yourself as small today, but remember, Equity Bank was just an idea in 1984. It was an idea. And it started from a kiosk in Muranga, Kangema. It never made any profit for 10 years. Nothing. In 1994, government wanted to close it because it's like this thing. What the hell is it? And I'm sure most of you, a lot of people are asking you, your business is Kadogo. Now you could be the next Equity Bank. But you must understand the various stages of growth and what you need to do. Please use talented people to help you at every stage. Some of you need coaching, some need mentoring, some need consultancy, whatever you need. Please seek knowledge and skills to navigate your business at the various stages. There is no shame in asking, I don't know. My business has grown. It is too sensitive. Help me grow to the next stage. Now, after PE funds, the typical growth level is now to do an IPO. IPO is initial public offer, where you now go to raise capital from the public at a stock exchange. That's now when you have done everything else, you want big money. I look forward in the next 10, 20 years, some of you will be listed in Nairobi Securities Exchange and you are raising 5 billion, 10 billion, so that we can see. Or you are daring enough to buy some of these parastatals which are about to be sold under privatization. So please build resilience, build the strength to go to the next level. So today, I have only 5 points for you so that as you strengthen your company to the next level. The first one is good governance and leadership. Good governance and leadership. There is a problem with us in this part of the world with leadership. Okay? I don't know whether we were cast, lakini kuna kasoro pahali. Okay? Or whether it's at business level, whether it's even at government level or even intergovernment level, everywhere there's a kasoro of leadership and good governance. Tulikosea pahali gani? Where did we go wrong? If there's one thing that every business must be very careful about is whatever you do, you must make sure that your business is well governed. Okay? Now, a well-governed business goes through 3 stages. There are 3 stages. The first stage is discipline. Nidhamu. You must be disciplined in your business. If you tell your employees you must report by 8 and you unaingia saa 4 na umelewa, what signal are you giving them? Nobody takes this business seriously. So discipline is the most important thing when it comes to good governance. The second stage is consistency. The discipline is not for one day. It is not for a week. It is forever. There has to be consistency. If you are trading, for example, and you are importing goods from, say, China or Dubai, wherever, your suppliers also want somebody who is consistent. If you say, I will pay you every end month for the goods that you delivered, you need to ask yourself, am I consistent in keeping my promise? Some of you, mmechanganya pesa ya business na yako, baka you don't know, have we even paid our suppliers? Consistently. So humble yourself and be consistent. And then stage 3 is devotion. So be disciplined consistently and you move to the stage of devotion. Devotion is we trust each other so much. Okay? You go to church, didn't you? How many of you have met Christ? But you believe in him, didn't you? So how do you believe in something you have never seen? It's a devotion, isn't it? So whenever you have your partners, the success, enduring success, is found when you are devoted to each other. You have been so consistent, it becomes like a religion. Good governance is very, very important. 70% of businesses fail in the first 5 years. And what kills them is indiscipline. So can you just put it in your head? I must be disciplined consistently to a point of very high level of trust, devotion. Then, leadership, uongozi. It goes with governance. You, as the CEO, or the owner, or the founder, whatever name you have, please make sure that you lead by example. You must lead by example. If you are telling employees, let's tighten our belts because revenue is falling, you must lead by example. Employees follow what the leader says. And I've seen companies where, when they're in financial trouble, the leader, the founder, takes a pay cut and employees agree. Let's all take a pay cut for the survival of the business. Now, but if they see the founder buying a Mercedes when the business is in trouble, what do? It's like even us, we help ourselves. What happens if the founder on a Friday like today says, hey, Kamau, give me the Kamau now is the finance manager. Give me 100,000. Do you think Kamau is an idiot? He'll give you 100 and also anachukua 100 yake. So a disciplined leader, founder, is the foundation and basis for a successful business. Also, over and above that, a well-governed business must be governed with integrity. Shortcuts. If you want a short-lived business, take a shortcut. Okay? You could do illegal things. You could do, bribe people. That thing has a price. You might initially indicate, you might show as though you are doing well. But remember, shortcuts give employees bad manners. And eventually those bad manners will translate to bad customer service. And bad customer service is a sure way to business death. So a company run with integrity has a long runway. You might make small margins for a very long period. But if you are consistent, the customer eventually notices. You are consistent, you give quality, you have small margins, but you live longer. So make sure that you run your business with integrity, audited accounts, you pay your taxes, your customers get value, they will reward you eventually. I guarantee you, I've seen these things over and over again. People who start a business, you are having government tenders, you bribe all and sundry. End result, there are people who will bribe more than you. And you are doing a shoddy job. Then everybody blacklists you. So good governance, excellent leadership with integrity. That's point number one. Point number two, please take care of your people, your employees. Number one, take care of your people. Take care of your customers because they are also people. And take care of your shareholders. So, let's begin with the employees. What do employees want? What do they take from the business? A salary. So, pay your people a living wage. They will work for you. In business, we say, you take care of your employees, you don't worry about your customers. Don't worry. They'll be taken care of automatically. So there must be constant communication to your employees where the business is, and if possible, make them have a stake in the business. That stake is called what? ESOP, Employee Share Ownership Plan. So make them have a stake in the business. Some people call it skin in the game. If an employee has skin in the game, they will take care of that business. When somebody wants to play around with it, they will point and say, hey, I have a stake in this business. The success of Equity Bank largely was because of ESOP. They have a very robust ESOP, employee share ownership plan. So when they are running a branch, at the end of the year, they also get a dividend. In addition to a salary, they get a bonus, and they get dividends because they are shareholders. Make sure your employees have a skin in the game. Then they take care of your customers. I don't have to emphasize customers. It is what brings revenue. Revenue is the cake. And then pay dividend to the owners. If the owner is you, please pay yourself a dividend. Now, typically, businesses pay the owners 40% and they retain 60%. How many of you have that ratio of paying yourself 40 and retaining in the business 60? 40-60? So, mnameza kila kitu. Now, what I see, and a lot of mistakes happen, is when the business is taking off, because you have worked hard and then the business has a lift. When that business has a lift, a lot of you make bigger drawings. And then you go and build a house in Kitengela. A house in Kitengela, that's a dead asset. Where were you living before? Ulikuwa unakaa wapi? So I've given you a formula. If you must pay dividends, don't go beyond 40. The business has to have some retained earnings, so at the end you roll over, it cushions you on risk, what's going on. Instead of borrowing from a bank, you expand it using retained earnings. So take care of your people, employees, number one, who will then take care of the customers. If the customers are taken care of, then they will give us business and the shareholders will get a dividend without asking. No questions asked. Business is a people game. Even when you're a leader, you must know how to lead people. Number 3. Please understand the business economic engine. Please understand the business economic engine. You entered into that business because some instinct, something told you, hapa tunaweza unda pesa. But most of you, along the way, get lost. Especially to understand the language of money. Kuna shida hapo. You are good entrepreneurs, but you are not good managers. Even worse, you are not good accountants. Because what is accounting? You are actually determining whether a business is sound or not. Okay? So how many of you can interpret a profit and loss statement correctly? Put up your hand. Profit and loss. Okay? So a quarter. The rest, you are relying on an accountant. Sure. Now, the accountant must explain to you how a profit is made. I've seen businesses who cannot differentiate between sales and profit. Sales is the top line, what you sold. Now, gross margin is what you sold and the direct costs to support what you sold. I'll give you an example. Coke. Coke has one of the highest gross margins in the world. when you drink a bottle of Coke, 83% goes to Coke in Atlanta. Of that money, it goes to Coke in Atlanta. And they use that money to do all the marketing in the world. They sponsor Olympics and they sponsor the World Cup. Always. That's their monopoly. So, the message is you must understand how a profit is made. And if you don't understand it, please ask those who know so that they can guide you so that we can say, are we pricing our products correctly? Are we controlling our expenses well? Are we borrowing too much finance cost, which then drains your profit? And remember, some of these things may not show up immediately. It could be things, by the time after 2 years, you do the maths correctly, then you realize you have spinned out of control, and the signal always is, I have run out of cash. So cash can be deceiving to imagine that it's profit. So please understand the language of money and how to use it to make critical financial decisions. That is why these books of accounts is very important. You have to go to an auditor who will then tell you, yes, we have certified that you have made a profit or not, or these are the dangers to your business. They should be able to tell you. By just reading the books of account, they can tell you the dangers that you are facing. So please understand how the business runs and the books of accounts that interpret your business. Number 4, leverage on technology and have well-designed systems. Leverage on technology and have well-designed systems. Now, we are in an interesting world today. Virtually any business can be supported by technology. Today's world is about AI. Okay? Make sure that you understand the systems that support the type of business that you are in. These days, instead of hiring an IT person to write for you a system, there are so many systems which are ready, off the shelf, or even those which can be modified to suit your business. I would always recommend that should be your first choice. Go for an off-the-shelf system. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Okay? Only unless you are doing something unique that the system is not available. But usually that's very rare. So make sure you have a computer system that supports your business. If you are running a petrol station, there is software that runs petrol stations. Then you can tell. You know, everywhere I see these days, virtually every corner in Nairobi, there's a petrol station. Now, do you know the margin for a petrol station? For every liter of fuel, what does the owner of the petrol station get? Some of you run petrol stations. No, that's too high. It is 3 shillings. The owner of the petrol station gets 3 shillings per liter. So for you to be profitable, you have to sell so much. Because remember, you have a fixed cost. The attendants, they receive a salary. The owner of the plot, you have to pay rent. You have to do huge volumes. So I look at sometimes you have 2, 3 petrol stations running next to each other. So it's like, where is the traffic that supports this petrol station? I don't know. Me, I just do some simple maths in my mind and say, here, somebody is subsidizing somewhere. Or it is being used for money laundering, or I don't know, some other thing somewhere else. But me, I always analyze economic engines, and I can see through quickly that this one is not possible. But have computerized systems. And then also, make sure you have procedures. End of day, you must, in accounting we say, you bank your revenues intact. You must go to your bank and make sure that the sales for the day, you don't draw it. You bank it intact, the way you received it. And if you want to pay, use the petty cash. You have a petty cash float, separate. And any supplier you are paying, you write a check or a bank transfer, so that then it's clearly written in your bank statement that some payment was made. If the employees are disciplined to that extent, then it's very easy to now write books of accounts. But this idea of saying, come out, hebu nipatie 1,100, and then you settle without a receipt, that's the beginning of chaos. It assumes you can remember. How many of you can remember a transaction of 3 months ago? You can't. And then the employees then see that as a loophole. Then they defraud you. So you must make sure that everything goes through your bank account and you can reconcile. My recommendation, any business, every day, balance the books. You must balance your books at the end of every business day. If you have not reconciled your bank account in 7 days, danger. So where are the bankers here? The bankers, NCBA, I had seen you. Yes. So make sure that these guys are alerted by the bank. Okay, please reconcile. And make sure that all transactions go through the bank. Then you are disciplined enough now in your business and say, yes. And then make sure that, however small it is, make sure that everything that you do as a procedure. So that if the procedure is not followed, it is very easy to track what went wrong in the business. And keep proper books of accounts, even manual ones. That is the beginning of discipline. Yeah? So this running businesses kienyeji wachana kabisa. You must be disciplined to have very good systems. And then number 5, building a brand. You must then build a brand. What's a brand? What's a brand? There are terminologies you use every day. Identity. Okay. How does that identity come about? How does it come about? A brand is a perception. It's a perception. Now, that perception and reality must be very close. Now, the perception of the business typically for an SME comes from the owner, the founder, you. It comes from you. And a perception is built over time. So, it is not just what the people see, the painting, the colors. It's way beyond that. The greatest perception comes from your customers. It's your customers. How they perceive you, because what you want is repeat business. So if they come again and again, it means they have built a perception that if I buy your product or service, then it satisfies my need. That product satisfies my need. And I come again and again, and then I tell others about it. The best marketing is from a satisfied customer. And if that customer is consistent in buying from you, that is how you build a brand. You build a brand by consistently doing the same over a long period of time. So, a brand is not a flash in the pan. Unaingia sahi, umepaint, halafu you con a few people, and then you disappear. The market will punish you. You must be consistently giving a good service. Let's suppose, for example, you are selling food. Okay? If I come to your restaurant and then I get stomachache, what happens? Like you have just come from lunch. Supposing tomorrow you have a tummy ache. Will you come back here again? And most likely you will tell your friends about it, isn't it? Perception is very important in a business. Now, as the business gets bigger, some businesses employ PR agencies. Okay? There's a difference between reputation and character. What's the difference between the two, reputation and character? What's reputation? Yes. Reputation is how people see you. What's character? Character is how you see yourself. It's yourself. Because you know yourself. So when you talk about building brands, make sure you build your brand around your character, not your reputation. Reputation is important, how people see you, but if, for example, you have a PR agency that whitewashes the company, but the character of the company typically ni ukora, the customers will catch up with you. No doubt, they will catch up. And they will tell you, ulitudanganya last year, umekuja tena kutudanganya. You get caught. So you make sure that the character of your company is a good reflection of what you want your customers to buy consistently forever. If you look at companies that have existed for generations, a lot of them had a character which was good. Occasionally they whitewash problems, but the character is what the customer looks for. It doesn't matter what the product is. Now if you look at a soda, Coke, what is it? What is the Coke, the product? Nini? Colored water, senor. 40% of it is sugar. So a soda is 40% is sugar. Okay? Then they put a coloring. A maj. And you're off. But they have been selling that thing for the last 140 years. And you're still buying it to today. What makes you buy it? They sell a promise. Okay? When we were in university in the 80s, the theme of Coke was, you can't beat the feeling. Okay? And they have an image of a cold one, okay? And then somebody drinking it with a sense of extreme joy. Okay? So they are building a good reputation I'm not sure about the character. Now, they have been caught, finally, by parents like you who tell your children, msikunywe soda. Sindio? So who are the next customers of Coke? Who are the next customers? They are a very clever company. If you run away from Coke, they make sure that you are just running around the corner to another product of Coke. They have 3,500 products. Okay? One of them is this one. Dasani. So ukitoroka hiyo Coke, unaingia kwa maji. If you run away from water and you want something sugary, there is Minute Maid. In some markets, they have tea called chaiwa. So everywhere you turn, and then they realized that this was not selling enough in Kenya. So what did they do? What did they do? They bought Keringet. So how many of you consume Keringet? It's now a Coke product. So they knew, huyu jamaa akitoroka, hawezi get out of our ecosystem. You see the way they capture beverages, non-alcoholic beverages. That company is like an octopus. They serve everywhere around the world and they monitor. They serve, this is a serving of their product. They do 2 billion servings every day. 2 billion. I hope one day you will grow like them. For 140 years, selling something which they know one day the customers may dislike. But if you dislike one, you go for another. And sometimes you keep moving without realizing you are running from one corner of the house to another corner of the same house. That's what success is. So I'm here to say, I would like you to make sure that your company lives long. I work for Jubilee Insurance. Jubilee Insurance is now 88 years old. It was started in 1937 and is still here up to today. And we always tell our employees, we want another 88. Okay? And we are now having as many products. Ukitoroka kwa hii, unaingia kwa hii. Ukihepa hiyo, we capture you somewhere. So we give you medical insurance. Kidogo kidogo, unapata mtoto. Education policy. Kidogo kidogo. You want to save some money? Money market iko hapo. So whichever way you turn, uko na sisi. That's a good thing. So business is for people who are resilient, who are strong, who have a clear vision of what they want to do. So mine is to wish you well. Use those 5 principles I have told you today, and I guarantee you 90% of the time you will be right. The risk of failure you will have mitigated significantly, especially the first one, good governance and leadership with integrity. If you do that one, your failure rate moves from 70 to almost 0. You will not fail. And you will build a sustainable business so that now the big guns of the world, when they arrive in Kenya, they tell you, you are running a very successful business, you understand your markets, can I buy a piece of it? Then you will be selling that piece with a very high premium, which is the goodwill. And you never know. You could be the next Zuckerberg, the next Bill Gates, the next Elon Musk, the next Chris Kirubi, the next James Mwangi. Sindio? At one time, Peter Munga was sitting where you are, scratching his head and saying, this building society, what do I do with it? Imeniletea hasara. But he was resilient. Look at it today. One of the shareholders of Equity is a fellow called Muguku. God rest his soul, because he passed on. How much did Muguku risk by giving Peter Munga? Anybody from Rwadia here? You know, Rwadia location in Kangema is the richest location in Kenya. What were Rwadia? I'm here to give you the spirit of Rwadia. So then you prosper also. So he gave Peter Munga 30 million shillings to capitalize his business. By the time he died, around 2015, that 30 million in market value was 7 billion. So what did Muguku do? He bought Stanbank House on Moi Avenue, where Standard Chartered was. So he bought it. Those of you who live in Karen, where are the people who live in Karen? Waterfront Shopping Center. Niao. Okay? And many other assets. John Mwangi was also, he was the CEO before James Mwangi, the owner of Enashipai. Enashipai is a product of capital gain in shares. He was able to sell those shares and build a hotel. I know the next thing you'll ask me is, what did I do with my shares? I have not sold them. I'm still a shareholder of Equity. And James Mwangi paid me 4 shillings and 25 cents per share this year and every year. Me, I have opted for dividends. Nitauza when I retire. Siyo ni biashara. So mine is just say, thank you very much for welcoming me. Use those principles and you will be a runaway success forever. Your children will be happy. Your children's children will say, our grandfather was a great businessman. And they will bless you. They will give you a seat at the right hand of the Father. Thank you.